Today's episode, you guys, is brought to you by Perfect Storm Real Estate Specific Software. It's the website I use in my business. I'm actually a partial owner within the company that's been able to give my input to help create a piece of software that is uber effective at lead generation in our real estate businesses. That website, www.perfectstormnow.com. Go check that out. It's amazing, epic front-end lead generation site that's extremely affordable for real estate agents out there. Also, today's episode is brought to you by our 90-day mastery bootcamp. If you're in the real estate industry, if you're wanting to take your business to the next level, this is a gnarly, crazy experience. We go through for 90 days straight. There's there is 13 total sessions that we go through. Each weekly session is about 2 to 3 hours long every single week. Plus, you have daily access to me going through the experience through the group. So to check out more about that program, we roll those out about every 90 days. We stagger them once in a while, but we do about 3 or 4 of those every single year. So if you want to spend the next 90 days with me, about 40 hours of just crazy epic content helping your business take it to the next level, go to www.90daymastery.com. That's our sales page. You can see testimonials, learn more about the product, and register and sign up right there. If you are signing up, make sure to use the promo code LiveMastery, all caps, all together, all one word, LiveMastery. It saves you $500. It makes that whole entire 90-day coaching experience only $997 for you guys. So, all right, let's jump on in. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview, where every single week we interview top entrepreneurs, top realtors, top health and fitness professionals, and just people that are out there dominating their space. So our guest today, really stoked, really honored to have our guest on. He was actually the first guest on the show. He actually launched this podcast, was our first guest launching the podcast. An amazing friend of mine, has been a huge mentor to me. He's probably had more impact on my real estate business than anybody else in the game, in the industry. Mega team leader, brokerage owner, now author. So really stoked and honored to have Rhyan Finch on the show again, man. Welcome to the show, my friend.
What's up, man? Glad to be back on.
Yeah, stoked to have you on, dude. So let's dive on into it, man. So you just wrote this book. I've read the book. I've had the pleasure of reading it multiple times because I read it a couple times.
You did. You helped me a lot with it.
But it's an amazing book, dude. It's really a guideline, step-by-step guideline for a realtor to go from brand new to going out there and selling 500 plus homes a year. And so let's dive into that, dude. Like, what inspired you to write the book, and give us a little insight to what's inside the book?
Well, it's one of those things. I just always had the goal. You know how you make the bucket list of things you want to take care of. I wanted to write a book. I felt like my life was a testimony to, what can happen to anybody, and for me to go from a plumber to selling a bunch of homes was crazy. And it was exciting even for myself, because I never looked at myself as being a leader. I always wondered, how do the people that are the team leaders become team leader? Who wants to just go follow somebody else, or how does somebody get into that role? And I couldn't figure that out. And then over the course of time, things just evolved into that. And I was like, man, people would come in and ask questions, and I go, why are you asking me? I would have an answer, but I was like, but I'm not special. Your answer could be just as good as mine. I just tried to think through it, and you never really thought about it until the question was asked. So anyway, all those things provoked different thoughts and things in my mind that I went, man, there's so much in this industry that people kind of keep under the shelf and they don't want to tell everybody about because they just want it to be their own secret sauce. And I just said, man, there's so much stuff I wish I knew before I got into real estate. I wish I could have cut the corners of don't waste my time going down rabbit trails that are going to end up not giving me the return that I want and making me a slave to this industry.
Yep. Awesome. So what's, I know you got a copy of the book there. Show us the book, dude, so all the listeners can see what it is, what it looks like. So Explode, the proven system to sell 500 homes, right? Right. And I think one of the important things on there is your bottom line there, while still keeping a balanced life, and because you're living proof of that, right? You've got an amazing marriage, amazing relationship with your kids. You make time for them. You're coaching, or maybe not coaching, but you're involved with their sports, all this different stuff, plus growing these massive businesses.
Right. The balance part of it is the key for me. And I know, and I know I even listen to you because I know you're anti-balance. I know that word just gives you cringe. Like, I hate balance, don't tell me to settle down, any of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I know it's against what you think. But believe it or not, you do have balance in your stuff because you're just doing excessive things and investing into your marriage and into your family and those things. You're making them a priority versus going, all right, yeah, I've got to kick butt in real estate, I've got to do these things, but you do it in the whole full circle, so it's balancing out kicking butt and in all the aspects. Yeah, I mean, I coach my son's team where we got practice tonight, a game tomorrow. We did donuts with dads this morning, so that was early in the morning, and then date night tomorrow night with my wife. So all that stuff is important as well. I played tennis last night, so I got to get in my own activities. But that's why this stuff is so important, is because life is so amazing that we should be absorbing every second. We should be absorbing the things with our kids and doing our own personal activities, not stressing about where's our next deal going to come from, where are we going to get our funds to pay the mortgage this month, and things like that. All that stuff needs to be planned out and then followed through with. So you can have a balanced life and more peace, and then just the amazing things of sitting out on the porch watching the sunrise, that kind of thing. Even though I know that's not dollar productive, but it's like it goes into you and becomes something that makes the rest of your day to go, man, I just, when you enjoy and love your life, that you can do so much more for your clients.
Yeah. So, we're in this industry. We're both in the real estate space very heavily, and we're in an industry with more information available than any other industry that exists, but the lowest performing people. Right? And it's because there's just so much. There's too much information. There's too much junk information, not a right of tactical information. What I love about your book and everything that you're doing is like this isn't theory. You've done it, dude. You went from plumber to millionaire real estate agent to now you still have a team. You're growing this brokerage, and within your brokerage, you're coaching and consulting other people based on these proven strategies to go out there and create their own massive success.
That's right. The book, I mean, it's not really any hiding. Kind of the goal of it is that I want people to read the book, and I want them to go, man, I want to be around that guy. That guy thinks differently than everybody else. And I go, and that is what makes somebody, position a leader, like we talked about earlier. And I go, it's those brokerages, those things, the changes in dynamics in our industry have been what put people in a leadership position, from people that said, hey, I got my stuff together, I figured it out, and now I figured out how to do it better than the next guy. That's where these Airbnbs or Uber, things like that in the industry, and those industries are setting the new trends, being an innovator. And so, we've innovated kind of a way and figured out what does and doesn't work. And so we want to get surrounded by, like you said, there's a lot of people not producing in this industry, and we want to be surrounded by the people that are producing and that want to do more and go, all right, you know what, my way is not working, I want to figure out a better way. And one of the key components in the book is about exponentials. That I think that plays into any business, really. I mean, it could be real estate, but I was talking to my car detailer guy this morning, and he's like, man, I love your book. He's like, I give it out. I gave it to other real estate agents. He's like, he keeps buying them from me so that he can give them away. And I said, you need to stop doing that. They need to buy it, because if they don't buy it and you give it to them for free, they won't read it. I said, but if they buy it, then they're going to read it. And he said, but man, it was just so impactful to me, because, it's a hybrid of the story of me coming from a plumber and a single dad to selling a bunch of homes to business, in the fact that we get into this industry and it's about writing a contract and getting a client, but never really the big business side of things. And really that exponential part of it is the big key, is that whatever we do in our 8 hours today, if we did as a job, we got to turn around and do it again tomorrow. But if we do things that go on over and over and over again, when we get an REO client, a new construction, a property management, any of these things that we build, we're actually building a business. And I go, that's what makes it sustainable. So when you walk away to go be with your family, you're not having to worry about your next client. You're just worrying about whether you're developing and growing your business.
Yep, love it, dude. And you shared some advice with me several years ago that really took me from doing like 40 million a year in production to like this year we're going to hit over 90 million in production,
Awesome.
which was, hey Josh, dude, you're so involved in your business. that's why you have this capacity, right? And the advice you gave me was write down the number 50 everywhere. And I don't want you being involved in anything that doesn't result in 50 transactions to your organization, which would be, okay, REO accounts, hedge fund accounts, but most consistent is hiring realtors, right?
That's
And
right.
it's massive, massive game changer. People just don't have those thought processes in this business.
No, because they are the 50 agents. They're the one getting hired, leveraged at 50%. And I go, and we don't make any bones about it. People on my team, I say, come on my team. I'm like, I'm hiring you. I'm sitting here personally with you because I want to hire you because you're going to sell 50 houses. And that's my goal is you're going to come in here and sell 50 houses. I've only got to hire you one time. And I said, but with that, I'm going to tell you, you should be saving your money. I say, don't go out and buy a new Porsche. Don't go buy a new car. You're going to make a bunch of money, but don't go out and spend it. I want you to save it because I want you to get off my team. I want you to go over. I want you to go to the other side of our business, and I want you to start hiring agents. I said, but right now we're just going to find out if you've got what it takes. If you're, and ultimately people can be on the team. They can stay there and they go, man, I'm making $150,000, $200,000 a year, and they've got a balance and they want that. And I go, everybody's built differently. But I go, but ultimately that's kind of the goal. And I go, okay, well, they can do it that way. So then I tell them, you want to sell a bunch of houses? We'll set up the REO account and we'll do that with you, or the new construction or the property management or whatever it is. So.
Yep. So now that you've had so much exposure, because you're out there selling at a high level yourself. You're out there doing 140, 150 million a year in production, just crazy, crazy numbers. But then now you're kind of you're in a different light, I should say. You're still out there doing massive sales with your team, but you're a broker owner too, and coaching and consulting a large group of agents. So now that you're able to really dive into all these different real estate agents, careers, businesses, what they're doing, whatever, what do you see like the biggest commonalities that you see that are stifling their production? That's like, hey, if you just change up these few things, your business would take it to the next level. Like, what are those few things that are just massive that people are missing?
Man, that question just makes a million things go through, because what's funny is I tell everybody that gets in the team leader spot, they're looking to hire somebody else, and they always will seem to fault find them. Like, well, they're not real driven, or they just don't seem real computer savvy, or, whatever it is. Or then they say, oh man, I got this great agent who's going to be X, Y, and Z, and they think that they're going to be great, and then maybe they do well and maybe they don't. So, anyway, there's all these different variables. But so the part of it is that I say everybody has things that they need to develop and fix. So which means when I look at it, I'll have one team leader that may say, hey, I just don't have everything in order. I don't have the back end system. I don't have the leads. I don't have the lead generation. I don't have any of this stuff. So they stop working on growing the company and start working in it, thinking that part's going to come along. And I said, no, man, just stop. Start hiring the agents. The agent with you is now going to help you do more open houses. They're going to help you get more listings. They're now going to take the buyer call when you're listing a property. There's so much to it that once you team up with somebody, it's like a three-stranded cord is not easily broken, that you become that much stronger once you have those people with you. So a big thing is they say they're getting ready to get ready. So that's a big common thing, but that's the part where they're broken, but then they fix it. Once they do it, they go, the aha moment happens, and then they have this large success. The next thing will be something like they don't have the money. So they say, hey, we don't have the money to do this. And I go, you're right. I mean, we look at the numbers and go, you're right. You don't have the money. You can't go buy Boomtown, Tiger Leads, or, wherever you want to try and buy. I said, it doesn't make sense. You need to figure out a way to generate business at a lower cost per lead so that you can get the business volume up there, and then instead of spending the proceeds, go reinvest the proceeds. So just bringing it back to strictly numbers and business at that standpoint. So.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I just want to plug this really quickly, and I'll have this in the show notes so all our listeners, you guys, if you below this video, you'll see the link. Ryan's first interview with me, I mean, dude, we went hard. Like, it was like a 2-hour interview, bro.
It was.
With how you went from being a plumber, you're on the softball team, and you meet this realtor, and you're like, damn, I could maybe do that, right? So we walk deep through your journey. So you guys make sure to go check that out, because it's an epic journey, so make sure you go check that out so you can see how Ryan built what he's built today. But I got some questions for you about what you're doing today, dude, because you got first class real estate. That's really exploding as a brokerage. Your team continues to grow, but the brokerage side is really expanding. And I see so many brokers that just can never seem to get above like that 50 agent mark, and they always kind of stay small. They can never take it to the next level. What are some of the things that you're doing that allow you to grow at such a fast rate, dude, and allow you to be so successful in the brokerage?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. I definitely feel that, I mean, I know that exact feeling. I go, really, it comes down to breaking it down to a couple of different things, which is laser focus. I mean, if you don't get laser focused, you can easily be complacent once you have 50 agents, and whatnot. And so that's one thing. Struggled with that myself. The other thing is the financial part of it, that I go, once you start getting kind of that money rolling in, you start looking at other things, whether it's rental properties or things like that, and go, okay, so now you're putting it there. So all this is setting up kind of the concept that I go, you have to start setting up the different offices, and then you have to break down what does it cost you to have an agent on your team or at your company. So, and we broke it down. We know each side what it costs us. It costs us a lot of money for each agent. It cost me $1,400 to have an agent on my team per month. And then it cost me right now $700. Now that cost goes down as I add more agents. So which means I have to have more agents to be able to figure that out. And they go, but what will happen is if they're not doing the volume to sustain that cost, then what happens is you start in a negative spiral. And when you get in the negative spiral, then you don't want to go out and start hiring more people because you're slowing down your leads. And then it's a downward spiral. And so then people will just play it safe. And there's nothing wrong with playing it safe. You can play it safe, but ultimately it's going to come down to saving up that money, reinvesting, opening the other offices, and then doing the math again. So then you've got the cost per agent on that office. You got a sales manager, a staff person to keep the lights on, to generate leads, and to have the doors open, to have a space open. So, but again, the cost goes down as you have more agents.
Yep, love it, man. So, you're, and I don't know where you post these videos. I always see them on Facebook. And to our listeners out there, go follow Ryan on Facebook. You post a lot of cool photos that really train people's mind different than really the traditional real estate trainers or coaches or people out there speaking, right? About creating passive income, about creating, wealth. Let's kind of talk about that a little bit, because you're a guy that's obviously doing it. You're a young dude that's achieved massive success that most people can't achieve in a lifetime, and you've achieved it while you're in your 30s. What are your kind of philosophies and core principles for overall wealth building and creating that passive income for your life?
Sure. It comes down to like the game of Monopoly. You're just going to take the money every time you go around past go, you're going to collect $200. There's your paycheck, whatever that looks like. And then your goal obviously is to buy real estate. I like buying real estate, but everybody says, well, I don't have enough money to be able to buy real estate. And I go, it comes to a certain number, and then the rest of it somewhat turns into creativity. And a bigger piece of it is reinvesting the dividends. So whatever you're getting off of your business, your job, your real estate, is reinvesting it into another, and really going through your costs and figuring out with a fine-tooth comb. So which means where your holes are. So for me, it was like leasing a office space that was costing me a bunch of money, and I went, okay, well, over 30 years from now, or they do 20-year leases in commercial. I said, what's that going to end up costing me? It was cheaper for me to be able to put some money in and then be able to buy the building. And then when it comes to real estate, I try and figure out things that are cost per cash on cash returns. So which means you can buy deals where you buy them for $100,000. Well, an example would be I bought one for 70. I put 20,000 in it, and so I've got 90 in it. It's worth 130. I go back out there. I get a loan from the bank for 90 because they'll give me an equity line on it. I take the money, my money back out, and then I collect $1,000 a month with a $600 payment. But what I do is I don't keep the $400. I take that $400 and pay it on that $90,000 mortgage, and so now it saves me equity every single day. So that money makes me money. And it's the little things like that can add up over the big course of the period of time, because before long, I don't know what the exact number is, but I think it was like 4 or 5 years. Essentially, that house pays off in 4 or 5 years, and then I've got that residual cash coming in. And remember, it paid off without any money from me. So, and that's kind of the idea, is that I did that one time, and now it takes care of itself.
So like a lot of people are, into house flipping. It's like the sexy thing. It's on TV, whatever. But it's like, okay, that's kind of like just selling real estate. Once you close the deal, you got that money. Like you're unemployed again.
Got to go get it again.
What is your? I mean, are you in the flip game? Do you think that that's a good idea, or should people just really be focused on acquiring rental property?
There's nothing wrong with flipping. Most of the people don't have money and they can make money doing it. So which means they can borrow hard money and then go flip it. And so on a property, let's just say you were going to do 100,000, you're going to borrow 100 grand, including the repairs. And let's say the net profit was going to be 20 grand. You're going to pay $10,000 to borrow that money because you didn't save your own. And you're going to make 10,000 for doing the work, finding the property, closing it, getting construction done, and then taking the risk on the sale. And you go, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great income over 3 to 6 months. But the problem is, you've got to go do it over again. I can buy a rental property and make 12 grand, in a year. So I buy it for 100 grand, then I turn around and make $12,000 each year going forward. So I'll have made my money back, and then I keep making it afterward, and I don't have to go get it again. But again, it's not the quick home run. You're not making that money just to go out and blow it, because every time you sell that house, you're losing money. So we tell a lot of people, you should never sell a house. You shouldn't sell it. You should rent it out. And we have a lot of our clients come in and they buy a house. You're going to buy this one. We're going to buy it at a rental rate that we know is going to cash flow. You're going to get the tax savings. Then as soon as we turn on the interest, and then as soon as we buy you the second house, you're going to get the depreciation on the other. Plus, they're going to pay the mortgage for your next house. And so we build that platform because that's what I did as I went along. To add to it, the innovative things that I talked about. Airbnb is an innovative thing. I live in a market where the waterfront's right here. Nobody's doing it. I went down and bought apartments that people thought were overpriced and stuff like that. And now they're on the rate of return of paying off in 2 to 5 years. So it's ridiculous. And now it's not oceanfront, but very close to the waterfront that it's prime real estate. And it'd be easy to sell, but then you look at the numbers and go, man, anybody would buy it from me because they could make a good return on their money. And but then again, I just roll that money to paying it off quickly. So that's kind of the end game for me, is getting all these properties paid for by those people while making the money in real estate to kind of support myself. But setting up passive income and passive streams is the goal.
What's your thought process or philosophy on apartments compared to single family detached homes?
Well, there's kind of a twofold part of it. One is ultimately it comes down to cost per unit. So which means when you buy a single family home, you got to buy the lot as one individual lot with its own individual rights, and then you have the improvements to it. But the rental return normally is way less than you paid for both of those. So, there's an apartment complex up the street here sold 200 units, and it was roughly like $55,000 a unit. I think they came out to like 23 million or something like that. So they bought those units and they're renting for $1,300 a month. I go, you can very seldom find a property in a good area that you're going to be able to buy for $55 a unit and get $1,300 a rent. So that, in the long and short of it, was a big learning curve for me. Was going, you need the multifamilies, you need property. You talked about those shows I saw last night on the income properties or something like that, and they were going through one of the things. I was just kind of watching, and I was going, gosh, this guy's got a TV show about this stuff. I was like, no wonder. I was like, man, I need to start doing something like that. And all this stuff you start adding up and doing in life, and you're like, man, why isn't everybody doing this? I had a buyer's agent the other day. Sorry, I'm talking so much. That I did the buyer consult with my buyer's agent. I did my own, so I was training her, and the buyer looked over at me, and now she's my hairstylist. Well, you can tell I didn't get my hair cut today, but anyway, she said, "Why doesn't everybody do this?" And I said, "That's what I said. I said I don't understand why everybody doesn't buy as much real estate as they can." But it's that's kind of our goal. Is that why? Is because most of the time they're watching us as real estate agents thinking we're sharks trying to close them on another deal, and they're just the consumer. And instead, they should be our partners in our business. They can be lawyers, doctors, work at Wawa, whatever it is that they do, and they're just investing their money in real estate with us. And if we're really believers in it, we should be doing it ourselves.
Yep, love it, man. Yeah, and I think that there's this massive limiting belief of, Ryan, I don't have $100,000 to go put down as a down payment on an apartment complex, right? I just had a guest on the show, James Lombardi. This dude owns 37 free and clear rental properties right now. He went out there, he found the deals, he found a money man to partner and become 50-50 partners, and so it didn't cost him a cent. It's like if you find the deal, you can find the money. I'm sure if anybody approached you with the right deal, you're going to jump on that and partner with them, right?
Well, and I look at that kind of twofold, believe it or not, is that I go, that guy that goes and finds that deal is actually a guy that what I'll do is 9 out of 10 of those deals that you find are not good deals, right? I mean, you just can't, you wouldn't buy them. The numbers don't make sense once you do the repairs, right? But I go, but that person was willing to sell that property. So I'll say, yeah, that property, and maybe it's not an apartment complex, but yeah, they've got a nice townhouse in a good area, and they say, good area for rental income, and they say, hey, yeah, we want to sell it for this, and you go, you owe 180 on a 200,000. No investor's going to buy that. But I say, but somebody on my team can now sell that property for you, and we can get that property sold for you. So then that person now is free and clear. They don't owe that mortgage of the 180. Somebody else has come in and bought it for 200, and they live in it, and so anyway, it's the buyer pool. Finding the buyer pool, all of those begin to be leads. So we get a ton of listing leads that way. That what happens is we have a pool of investors, so we're always scrubbing for getting new investment properties. That's part of our agents' jobs. And then what it'll do is if they can't buy it, then we turn around and we still sell it on the open market. So which means we do what you ever seen Dances with Wolves with Kevin Costner a long time ago?
Yeah, years and years ago.
With the buffalo, right? What they did is they took the skin and they used that for coats and blankets and making their teepees, right? They used the bones to use as weapons or eating or to utensils, and then they would eat the meat, but nothing was wasted. And I go, and everything has to be like that when we're doing this business. And I go, every property needs to be sold. Maybe it does need you as an agent, maybe it doesn't, maybe it needs an investor, maybe it needs to be short sale. But there's tons of service that can be done. And I go, what we want to do is we want to service the investor finding properties. We want to service the seller selling properties. And then we want to service the consumer that's, purchasing the end units at the end. They go, we just need a place to rest our head, and we want good quality construction on a property.
Yep. Love it, man. Kind of switching directions back into your agents at First Class Real Estate. Like your average realtor out there does what, like 3 deals a year? But that doesn't exist in your company. And one thing I always love about coming out to Virginia Beach, checking out your company, dude, is you're surrounded with a lot of people doing a lot of big numbers. What do you think this, I don't know, there's no such thing as secrets, but like what do you do and what's your focus on to go out there and create an environment with so many top producers?
The answer to it goes back to when I said I went in and did a buyer consult with my buyer. And I go, you could say, well, gosh, I don't really even need to go to work today. Just to be honest. And I go, and I don't need another book to sell. I don't need to sell another house. I don't need to hire another agent. I go, I do. I like to. But really the reason is because servant leadership. The reason that they produce is because they begin to be all-in guys. We had a client call in, and a brand new agent comes in, and they actually went into the system to 2 different agents because they called in and then called back. So 2 different people set an appointment with them the next day. I had to call up one of my agents and say, I'm sorry, man, the other agent ended up getting the appointment, and you know what? I know he called you first, but they got the appointment, and the first agent that didn't get the appointment was the agent that had been with me a while. So I called him up personally. I said, hey, man, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take care of you out of the deal. I'm going to give you my percentage of the commission, and then I'm going to allow them to take the other one. And you'd think that made the first one happy, which he was fine. He's been with me for years. He's one of my best friends. He said, man, you don't even owe me anything. But that's the culture of our office. He said, forget it. You know what? He got the appointment. It's fine. I'll go get another one. And he has enough business that wasn't that big of a deal, but he's still got a family to feed, right? So, but the big key to that was the second guy, the guy that said he thought, well, man, y'all are about to take this lead from me, and I did my job. He goes, he found out later, he didn't know this. He found out later that I was going to pay the commission to the other guy so that he could have the deal. And he said, as soon as I found that out, he said, I'm all in. He said it was like a light switch went off, and he said, if that's the kind of guy that I'm working with, he said, then I will bend over backwards. So this guy yesterday, we did call night. First off, he did $40,000 in his first month put under commission under contract. He took 5 calls yesterday during a call night. He got 5 appointments and 5 people over to pre-approval. Okay, so 5 for 5. And then on top of it, he's walking out the office, and somebody happened to walk in our office that was looking for a real estate school. He recruited the 2 people to our team. So I go, and I go, that's the kind of thing that I go, you can't see it. It's invisible. You can't see that the decisions you make about the money, where I could have said, hey, it was my lead. I'll pick who it wants to go to, and I'm going to take my piece, and he's going to get his piece, and tough, right? That's sometimes how the management levels go. And I go, but it's not that way. We want servant leadership. And I go, it makes them have a different purpose. And once they have a bigger and better purpose of what we're doing here, then for whatever reason, they just work harder. They buy into the vision. It's no longer about sitting around with their feet up and going, hey, I'll do a deal when I feel like it.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely, dude. I think you hit the nail on the head there with that servant leadership. So many people think it's about having the fancy office or all this other stuff, and it's about, truly serving others, showing them that you care, and providing that roadmap, dude. So I love it, dude. All right, those call nights, man. Curious, bro. Like, what do you guys do on your call nights? What does that look like? I'm sure I just heard that their ears are perking up right now.
I was sick yesterday, so I wasn't able to do it. But we order pizza and some beverages or whatever. We get everybody together that can make it, because it's normally a 5 to 7 hour time. We get the loan officer right there. Loan officer goes, oh my gosh, my business just went uptick. He's like, I ended up with 8 or 9 people in that 2 hours that I was pre-approving, in that little bit of time. So, but anyway, get them together. We get all their leads, their old scrub leads. I got a sales manager. His name's Dave, who was one of my top producers. We've now moved him to this position because, he's a better teacher than I am. Unfortunately, I just struggle with that because I sometimes go, man, just come on, just do it. It's like sometimes, I don't mean it in a negative way, but it's like watching your child play baseball and you're like, just grab the ball and throw it to first. You could do it, but you got to be able to get them to do it. And I struggle with that gap. But he's really good at closing that gap, going, okay, so here's the position you take, here's how you grab it, and here's how you throw it, right? So he does that. He gets side by side with them, shows them the CMA, tells them how to call. So anyway, he does that, and they all get on the phone at the same time, maybe a little background music. There's a board like, hey, who's got the deal, who's got the appointment, and they get on the calls. Their goal is, 20 calls an hour, so that way they can hope to get even one appointment from that. And then knowing that, some people won't pre-approve, and that's okay, but they're just all in there all at the same time as a group and as a team trying to go ahead and get the appointment set up so that they can have somebody. And we have a philosophy that rings around this office every day. There's certain things they can't say or do around me, but the one thing is they can't say can't, so they're not allowed to say can't. They're not allowed to say tomorrow. So I'm like, no, get it done today. There's no tomorrow. And that came from the Rocky movie. Remember when he was looking in the mirror and he hit something and it went over? There is no tomorrow. Anyway, and then what was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about.
What they can and can't say around you.
I can't forget what I was going to say. What led to that? Man, I forgot. I'm sorry. I don't remember what I was going with that. No. There was yeah, that's what it is. Never leave today until you have an appointment tomorrow. I go, you want to be better than me? You better have more appointments than me. So for me, I got to hire more agents, so I got to have more agent appointments than you do. And the Mark Cuban quote of, work today like somebody's working 24 hours a day somebody's sneaking in.
Oh, yeah. That's my film editor behind me.
Oh yeah. So never leave today until you have an appointment tomorrow. I mean, that's the key part of it is they need to have an appointment tomorrow, and they need to do it every single day in order to be able to get it done, because the percentage aren't going to work out.
Yep, love it, dude. So, all right, man. So you're I mean, how old are you? What, you 35, 34?
35.
35, right? So you're a dude that, I mean, really at this point, you could kind of be like, okay, I'm good. I'm done. I'm just going to go play in my boat, and go have fun, right? What keeps you, what still drives you, dude? Because, I mean, good is the worst enemy to great, right? And good enough, we can get sucked into that trap. What keeps you pushing so hard? Because you said earlier, hey, I don't really even have to come into work today. Like what keeps you leveling up and keeps driving you?
There's a verse in the Bible. It's a prayer of Jabez. He says, it's a small little thing, but he says, Lord, increase my territory, and bless me, Lord, and increase my territory. And the reason for that is not just that he wants to become larger, but it's that there's more people to impact, that there's a world out there of people that I go, I was one of them that needed information and needed people to guide me. And I go, our school systems fail us. Our financial systems fail us. I go, the people around us, we're all watching the people fail. We think success is the guy with the big boat and the big yacht and whatever, that he's leveraged in finance. He's living in a little house so he can have a big old boat, or somebody's living in an apartment so they can drive a nice car. And I go, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. And that is why I get up and I go do this every day. Is I go, every client, I want them to think differently by the time we're done helping them. And the more agents I can help train them to help more people, I can reach more people and change more people's lives. And I go, if I just want to sit back on my hands and do nothing, then I go, then the people are going to perish. They're going to perish because they're not going to have the knowledge and the information. I go, but instead I get to be rejuvenated by the agent that goes, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. I could go do that and I could help this person this way. It's taking their problems when they're in a short sale or whatever it is and problem solving their situation, which is sometimes saying, no, selling's not the option for you right now or whatever it is. So anyways, getting that information out to more people and trying to change more lives. So our motto at our company is changing lives, selling a few homes along the way. You know, we want to sell homes, but it's not our main goal. Our main goal is changing people's lives. They should be better off because they met you. And I think that's a big key thing for you, whether you even mean to do it or not. But, you know, everybody that knows you is better off because they met you. And I go, if you're sitting on your hands or sitting at home doing nothing, I go, you're stagnant. You're not making an impact at all.
Yep. Love it, man. Love it. So, you know, a lot of this stuff sometimes is easier to teach and coach and talk about than it is, you know, to apply in our own life. What's like the one piece of advice that you give others on a consistent basis that you struggle personally to stay disciplined on doing yourself?
Probably the focusing, the laser focus and the time blocking of the goals, you know, writing out the clear, concise goals of what you need to do, and then go every day needs to be worked toward one of those pieces. It's really easy for me to tell somebody, you want a bunch of sellers, you need to call these sellers, you know, and do this stuff. And really, I feel like I've been somewhat just lucky, you know, like things just happen to work out for me better. And it seems like the harder I work, the luckier I get. But but when I'm not, you know, I can definitely see my business struggle or something flounder. The people don't see me in the office, then they start to act funny, you know, or whatever. Any of those kind of things can happen. So it's following through on the things and the goals the way you want it. Basically, following through on the commitment that you made when you made it. You know, people will make a commitment, and then when things get hard, they kind of slow down or stop or change courses. And I talked to somebody. This was an agent that was talking about maybe coming to my company, but she was at my company before, and she looked to come back. And I looked at her, and I said, well, you know, this was their company shut down. The company that she was at had shut down. So she said, you know, I need some advice. And I said, okay, well, what was your plan? And she tells me her plan was this team and this other thing. And I said, well, if you make this decision to come here, that's going to change. It's a long story, but it was going to change. And I said, why now, 3 months later, you had a vision, you had a plan, you're going full force, and now this company shuts down. Now all of a sudden your vision changes. And I'm like, we can't let these outside things determine what we're going to do and follow through with. I'm like, if we have the vision, we're going to do it and we're going to go forward with it, assuming God doesn't change our hearts and point us in a different direction. Well, you know, anyway, we just can't be as faulty to not following through.
Yep. Awesome, man. So a couple last questions for you, but before we dive into those, how do people reach you? If you know, maybe they want to go buy the book, everybody go out there and read the book. Go get the book. It'll inspire the hell out of you, but it's also an amazing tactical game plan of how to go out there and create that success. So it's, you know, I don't know what the cost of the book is, $20-$25, but it'd be the best $20 you've ever invested, right? It's in my opinion, and maybe I'm a little biased because Ryan's, you know, such an amazing friend and mentor to me, but hands down, in my opinion, best real estate book that exists out there, right? So go get the book, but how do people go get the book? Where do they go for it? And then maybe if they have questions, want to reach out to you, how do people get a hold of you, Ryan, and learn more about you?
Sure. You can go to finchteam.com, which is our team website, but I mean, that's really going to put you in touch with somebody on the team, which can pass through. You can go to my blog site, which is Rhyan, RHYAN, .finch.com, you know, so my Rhyan Finch website. And then obviously you can buy the book on Amazon or iTunes. And then there's even a Kindle version on there as well. So you can get them either of those ways as well. You know, people locally can come by the office and pick them up that way. We're working on Barnes & Noble, you know, as we speak. So
Awesome. And you guys, right below this interview, all the links are there, so you can just click those, go buy the book right now while you're watching this. So, all right, dude. Something happens, right? You get totally wiped out. I mean, your health's good, your family's good, like all that's good. But all financially, like you're crushed. Everything goes away. Maybe you got $500 left over. But you've retained everything that you've learned over all these years of being an
Can't take
entrepreneur.
it away.
You
You
know,
can't
so,
take it.
yeah. So what are some of what's like the first one or two things that you'd go out there and immediately do to start rebuilding this empire that you've built?
Hmm. Ultimately, it's just going to have to be the hard work of hard work and saving the money back. So I'd have to go out and get a job of some sort to work. So I'd probably be moving to Arizona and then working with you to get some business. I'd need somebody to give me some business because I couldn't generate business on my own. I'd be able to close. You couldn't take that away from me. So which means I'd be able to get the people in there, and then really even what I do now is just managing other people's wealth, whether they're getting a loan from the bank or whether they have cash. They're investing in real estate, and I know a good deal. I know how they would be able to find the right property, and they go, I guess ultimately all of us need to get to that place where our value doesn't change. So which means my cost per hour and time is still where it would be. Even then, I would have less people leveraged because I wouldn't have any money to pay anybody. So I would have to get to a level of quickly getting my money saved up. I would live below my means as best I could. I'd figure out my costs. I'd cut them as quick as possible. I cut as much cost as I could because I know I need to save every dollar as quick as I can, and I'd know I'd only do it for a little while because in a little while that money would be working for me to pay back and let me have the life that I wanted.
Yep, love it, dude, love it. So, what do you have like a formula that you recommend and you coach and teach on as far as like, and we'll just keep on the realtor front, but this would apply really to everybody that exists out there. But okay, you got a $10,000 commission check. Do you set it like, okay, how much should be set aside? Okay, you got your taxes, you got your savings, you've got your investments, you've got your expenditures. I mean, what's your personal thoughts on that? What do you teach on that?
Okay, so we talk about having 3 different bank accounts. So which means as a business owner, you need to have an operating account. You also need to know what your expenses are for the month. So you don't know what you're going to bring in. You may sell one house, you may sell 3 houses. You're not really sure. So you need to have a ratio for the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, so it still plays out the same. So anyway, we talk about having an operating account, and then all the money would go in there. From that money, so if $10,000 goes in there, 20% of that is going to go over to your savings account, and it's not to be touched. That money is not for a broke down car or anything like that. All those items need to be budgeted for. This money is only to go out and come back with his friends. Everybody always laughs when I say you need to be putting out that money, and then it needs to come back with his friends. So you're putting out you're hiring those people, which is your dollars. So and you don't fire the employees. Never fire the employees, which is spending the money. All right, so 20% goes over there. Then what you're going to do is figure out of that percentage what is going over for your budget. So if it's 10 grand and you need 5, then you're going to take 5 over to the budget. You're going to take 2 over to the savings. So you're going to have 3 grand left in the operating account. And that operating account is going to keep adding up until it adds up to 6 months worth of savings. You're not going to change anything at this point. You're not going to increase your budget, or you can lower your budget if you want, but you either need to increase sales or lower your budget to quickly get that account to 6 months worth. In the meantime, while you're working on getting that to 6 months, you're still adding up that 20% over there on the side, right? So you're like, all right, well, this month you had you only made, I don't know what the right ratio would be. So you made 7 grand. So 5 goes over to the budget because you have to spend that, and 1,000 goes over. So now you only got $1,000 being added in. So anyway, it'd be much slower to build up that operating account that way. But you're still adding over to the savings account. But then what will happen is you'll put that at those, the budget that you have is set up to pay you a salary so you can pay your personal bills. So you've got to be able to take out a certain amount so you can pay your mortgage, pay for food and all that stuff. It has to be calculated in. So one budget actually tells the other. Your household budget is going to tell your business budget what to do. And then once you start using that savings account money to make other income, you can then replace the amount that you pay yourself from your business. Now, you may keep it the same. If business is going great, that's fine. But if money is making you money, you're going to run it through the same ratio that money is going to go over there. Now, you can add in your spouse's income or other ancillary income and still keep paying a percentage off. And so ultimately, though, the goal is to get to 50%. So when you're saving 20%, it's going to take you 20 years to be able – 20 years? 5 years, sorry, 5 years to be able to get to where you have 1 year's salary, right? I think I did that math right. So you're trying to get enough in savings to be implemented. So which means if you need to replace $10,000 worth of income, you need $1 million employed, not borrowed, straight $1 million employed to bring back 12% to give you $10,000 a month, correct?
Yep.
So how long will it take you to get that $1 million? Well, if you keep doing it at 20% and you're only making $5,000 a month, it's going to take you a long time. So you're either going to have to increase that or lower the budget so you can increase the savings so you can get there quicker. And that doesn't even have to be real estate. This is like money 101. Quickly save as much as you can so you can employ it. And as soon as you employ that much money, then you can then sit back and relax. Now, when you start finding other ways that you make 30 and 40% on your money, that's a whole other ball game. But you can't find it until you start saving it. So you start saving it, and you'd be surprised at all the all the avenues of returns that come in.
Yep, love it, man, love it. So, GSD podcast, this podcast has really started to go out there and inspire people, but not just inspire, but give a lot of, tactical roadmaps, tactical game plans to go out there and create that success that they know they truly want in their life. It's so sad today, 97% of people just live and die amid mediocrity. Right? They're really not waking up and paying attention. So, with that being said, I mean, you're a guy out there doing it on a high level, creating a lot of success in every aspect of your life, right? What are maybe some last words of encouragement or inspiration you'd like to leave our listeners with to help them go out there and create that epic life that they know that they truly want and deserve?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, ultimately, the type of people that are going to watch this are the people that want information. They're going out and getting it, so they're already miles ahead of the other people that they're that are the 97%. So they may be a part of that 97%, but it's only going to come down to whether they implement it. There's a verse in the Bible that says the man goes and looks in the mirror and immediately walks away and forgets what he looks like. And I go, the implementation of the information that they get is going to be the biggest deciding factor of what the outcome looks like. I mean, if they know the information and they don't apply it, I go, it's called stupidity. I mean, you can't take the information, go out there, do everything that it took. You stop going and doing something else to get the information to not apply it. I go, if it means time blocking, if it means saving money, if it means making a budget, if it means hiring other agents, if it means working on multipliers in your business that continue to give you business over and over again, I go, if that's what it is and you don't do it and you continue to do the same thing, that's the definition they use for insanity, right? To do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So, I'm not coming up with any groundbreaking information here. This is all pretty basic, but hopefully it's one of those things that goes, you know what, if not, you're just going to keep making somebody else rich, whether it's the power company, the cable company, the clothing company, the bank that you're paying your rent or your mortgage to, because you're not paying it off faster, the person you're paying the rent to. And I go, and they thank you. They thank you that they did what they needed to do and you didn't. And I go, I can't stand to be that one. I don't want to be working for the power company and the clothing companies and the different things like that. I've got to be able to get it the other way around, and I've got to work hard, live below my means, and save my money, and then employ it.
Yep, love it, man. Powerful words. And to our listener base, I know we end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is the start of delusion. Information is not power. It's implementing and executing on that information that creates power in our world. So, you heard from one of my personal mentors, one of my great friends, an absolute badass today that's doing epic things. Take something that you learned. Number one, go buy his book right now. Number two, take something that you learned, whether it's 1, 2, 3 nuggets that you learned today, implement in your business immediately so you can go out there and create that same level of success that you truly want in your life. And Ryan, man, it's been an absolute honor having you on. I always love talking with you, dude. And I really, I commend you and I appreciate everything that you're just doing for the real estate community and everything that you've done for me in my life, man. You've been an amazing friend, amazing mentor. I can't thank you enough, dude. And I really, it's a huge honor having you on the show, dude, and having you in my life, bro.
I don't know how you keep calling me a mentor. I'm like, man, I'm the one learning from you. I'm soaking up everything you're putting out there. I'm like, man, that's good stuff. I mean, I don't know how you wake up with this information that you're getting. I mean, it's constant downloads and stuff. I mean, shoot, you're giving me book recommendations. So I don't know why. I know you're just a humble guy and you're saying it, but I don't want these people to be fooled that, man, you helped me with the book. You helped me with my business. You ultimately it's a very mutual respect we have for each other. I love you, bro.
Love you too, man. And to our guests out there, again, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time, and keep crushing it.